Oh my God, people, it's the 98th edition of the MMA Podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in. It's been a wild week. We got a bunch to talk about. We had 2 fight cards this past week, UFC Fight Nights both. Cerrone versus Miller and McGregor versus Brandao in Dublin. Both of them were great cards. We're going to be breaking them both down. We also have UFC Flyweight Tank Scoggins on. We're going to speak with him about his future in the division. We're also going to talk about Nick Diaz, signed to 2 or 3 more fights. Chael Sonnen getting a 2-year suspension. Of course, this Saturday's card, UFC on Fox 12. We're going to be breaking all that down and all the fight bookings. It's going to be a big show, people. Let's do it.
You're listening to the MMA
Podcast. That's right, Lenny Hart. I'll say it along with you. It is the MMA Podcast, the 98th MMA Podcast. Man, we are coming close to number 100. That'll probably be mid-August, probably around my birthday. Oh, shit, people. Man, if you would have told me we would get to episode 98 when we started this shit, I would say you either were on crack or full of shit. And you might be on crack, you might be full of shit, but we've made it to 98. Shout out to Steve Austin for that quote. I think I grabbed that from a recent episode of his show. Check out his show. Check out MMA Mental. Check out the Adam Martin Show. Check out Fury's Fight Picks. Check out the Verbal Tap Podcast. There's so much great MMA media going on. And honestly, I don't think of these other shows as competition. I think of them as buddies, you know? All of us are breaking down the same shit. We all love the same sport, so why not embrace it? Just be a big, fat, happy family. Speaking of the family, a shout out to everyone who is on the show. We've got a lot of regulars who aren't here tonight. We got, of course, the original gangster, Chris Lowe, C. Lowenstein on Twitter. We got Ross Finkelstein, E before the L, follow the Jew, follow Yao_the Truth, Westland Eagle AH, Hiro Shinwoo. Man, follow their, god damn it, I always start naming names, and once I start getting to it, I'm like, oh fuck, I'm gonna leave a bunch of people out just because there are so many awesome people. Conley Razor, Technics, my girl Jen Adams, Davey Boy, Ray, who else? Fucking Crooklyn, Talk MMA, the MMA Enthusiast, Mad Samurai, who else? Ramses. It is me and Ramses tonight breaking shit down. Ramses, how the hell are you? What the fuck's going on in the mean streets of Austin, Texas?
Thanks, Jake, from the MMA Podcast. I just want to say something to everybody listening right now to the sound of my voice. I want to tell you people, you made the right call. What you're about to hear, you're going to want to tweet this out to your friends. You're not going to even believe what the hell you're about to listen to. I'm about to drop the latest MMA rumors. Yeah, Jake has a list of topics. He's running a legitimate show. He's going to bring up the last fight card in the card that's coming up on Saturday, the latest MMA news. What I'm going to do, I'm going to give you angles, insights, rumors. I'm going to have hot takes, all right, people? Stuff that you've never even considered or even heard about discussed in the MMA world. Why? Because I have that. I have it. It's called the word on the street. I have the secret clandestine knowledge, and I'm bringing it to you on this episode. Keep listening, no matter what the topic is. I'm going to talk about what I want, and I'm sorry, I make no apologies, Jake. I'm going to bring up what's happening. I'm going to rage against the Athletic Commission, all right? I'm going to rage against what's happening in Russia with the missing flight. I'm going to tell you, shout out to Michelle Old, and of course, I'll bring you an update on my relationship status with Katie and much more. You heard it. Thank you, Jake, from the MMA Podcast. I've got the word on the street.
And that's the bottom line, because Stone Cold said so.
Hell yeah. Shout outs to all of the Chris's. I knew I would fucking miss a bunch of people. Chris White 209. Shout out to Chris Sparks. Shout out to Scumbag Chris. Just a lot of fucking Chris's. Not to mention the first co-host of this show, Chris Lowe. I know you're listening. Chris, I love the shit out of you. And I hope you come back to join the show. The man's been working his ass off. The man's working 60-hour weeks, and he hasn't been on the show so long. Ramsey's forgot who the fuck he even was. God damn it. If you do want to call in, we love people calling, being a part. You can tweet us if you don't feel like talking. You can tweet us at the MMA Podcast, which is actually how I knew to give Chris White 209 a shout out, along with Mike is that his handle? Mike Hammersmith. Yep, he's always breaking down the MMA world. But if you want to help break down shit, tweet us at the MMA Podcast, Skype us at the MMA Podcast, all one word, or you can call in. The number is 213-457-3380. Jesus Christ, Chris White 209. Before I shouted him out, I think he had somewhere around 5,000 followers. He now has 129,000 followers because of the MMA Podcast and the word on the street. We're all a big, happy family. Call in 213-457-3380. And I guess without any further ado, let's get to the mailbox first, because last week our boy Kevin Black on Twitter at Technics, he left us a voicemail, and well, it looks like he left us another voicemail this week. Let's check out and hear what I think he's Scottish or Irish. I'm pretty sure he's Scottish, but let's hear what Technics had to say.
Hadouken! Tiger, uppercut. This is Technics 88. I want to school you all you bitches on MMA. Yes, this is Technics. I love you all. I'd like to talk about the Irish man who beat the shit out that motherfucker. We love him to bits. However, he is no Daniel Cormier. I don't like John Jones. However, Cormier is going to beat his ass into oblivion. Hadouken! Tiger uppercut.
And there he is, Technics dropping knowledge. We will be breaking down Conor McGregor versus Diego Brandao. We will be breaking down Daniel Cormier against John Jones. Gustafson's out, Cormier's in, with Penn and Sonnen retiring. Cormier is really my favorite active fighter, and I'm looking forward to him fighting a guy named John Jones.
I'm sorry, that was Conor McGregor. Let's be real here.
You think
some guy from overseas just calls into our little podcast?
I love
with that
the
accent,
Street Fighter shout out. I love the Street Fighter shout out. The Tiger upper. Yeah. Well, let me play back the first part.
Tiger uppercut. This is Technics 88.
You don't think it's Technics, idiot?
It's McGregor 88. That's who it is.
Idiot.
Bottom line.
I love you all.
He ain't fooling me.
I'd like to talk about the Irish man who beat the shit out of that motherfucker.
Yeah, I wonder.
So you think it's Conor?
I think it is, man. He's trying to obviously disguise his voice, but he's calling into the show to only talk about his miraculous win. Give me a break, Conor. It's a little desperate. I ain't buying it.
Damn,
word
so
on the street.
Ramses believes that Kevin Black is actually a catfish account set up by Conor McGregor to listen and comment on the show. You're fired. And people who don't know who Vince McMahon is are wondering why the fuck we're talking like idiots. Let's get to the MMA. We're almost 10 minutes into this damn show, and we've just been talking a bunch of shit. Last Wednesday at the Revel Casino Hotel in Atlantic City, New Jersey, we saw UFC Fight Night Cowboy versus Miller, UFC Fight Night 45. Hard to keep count of them now. Were you able to watch the card? This was one of those Wednesday cards, and I saw a lot of people on Twitter who were saying they were not able to watch it live.
Yeah, I definitely watched it. I think I missed maybe 2 or 3 of the fights.
Yeah.
Not even the first ones. It was just, you know, I was. I don't like to mix business with pleasure, but let's just say I was a little occupied at the time with business. But I did catch most of the fights. But I'll be damned if I can remember a single one of them, except for, of course, the main event, Cerrone versus Miller.
Yeah, and it was a pretty good main event. Before we actually break down the card, I was meaning to ask you, what do you think about all these fight nights? You know, this is something the UFC is sort of testing out. It seems like we have not had nearly as many fight nights, and you know, like even as early as last year, the schedule, we had a UFC event maybe every couple weeks, every week and a half, but we're getting days where we have multiple cards in a day. We have, you know, weeks where, like, a ton of weeks where there's a Wednesday card and then a Saturday card. You know, I've seen a lot of mixed reviews about it. A ton of people are like, fuck yeah, I love having all these cards. I love the UFC. I love watching the UFC, and more cards is nothing but goodness for me. Other people not so hot on it, saying not only is it difficult to watch all of these cards, but it's sort of, you know, you're getting a lot of cards that are pretty shallow. What are your thoughts on having so many fight nights?
Let me tell you something. The people that complain that there are too many fights, let me just say, you guys can go straight back to hell where you came from. Let me tell you something. I am a true fight fan. A true fight fan would never, ever say, oh, Jesus, I can't handle all these fucking fights. Just like a true crackhead would be like, oh, shit, man, this is too much coke on the table. You understand me? I'm an addict. All right, I'm for real with this shit. I go deep. And most of the time, the people complaining about oversaturation, it's not the fans, not the casual fans. It's the MMA media. You know why? Because every time there's a fight, that means they gotta work that day. I'm sorry, you lazy sons of bitches. You dirty, corrupt assholes on the take. Every single one of you, except for a few like Mark Ramondi, Jonathan Snowden, a couple other good ones did. Damon Martin's a good guy. I like Diz. Of course.
Crooklyn.
Yeah, Crooklyn's solid. You know, people that are fans of the sport.
Adam Martin.
Exactly, Adam Martin. That's who I was trying to think of. Anyway, what the fuck was I even saying? Oh yeah, oversaturation. Quit complaining about it, people. There aren't enough fights. When I saw on the UFC.com website that the next 6 cards in a row were going to be UFC fight nights, no pay-per-views, I thought it was a mistake. I thought, oh Jesus, they're screwing up the website. It wasn't. These are free fights. All right, you can't even complain because they're charging people money to see all their fights. They're not. These are free on TV, and you still got people complaining, but at the same time saying they're actual fight fans. No, they are not, people. This is a gift. This is a blessing. I'm sorry. Some of us, I'm sorry, you've got a life, you got a family, you got friends, you got shit to do. So you can't watch every single UFC card, so you're upset. All right, well, guess what? Some of us don't have lives. Some of us, like me, have never even spoken to their family or friends in over 5 years. In fact, this podcast that I'm doing tonight, this is the first time I've used my voice in over 2 days. All right? It hurts right now. My voice is sore. I don't communicate with the outside world. I have my groceries and steaks delivered to me because I'm done dealing with people. I like to stay inside. I like to stay on the damn internet. And guess what? I need content. I need fights. I need the UFC. I need the WWE network. I can live without Bellator. I need podcasts. Opie and Anthony dissolved. Now I got to fill it up with the Anthony Cumia Show shameless plug. What I'm saying is, give me more UFC. There ain't enough. It should be every damn night. There should be a fight on right now, people, and that's the word on the street.
Our buddy Davey Boy tweeted in saying, "Too many fights. You ain't a fight fan." I see where you're coming from, and I don't have a problem with having all of the cards. That doesn't bug me at all. Like, do 7 cards a week. I don't care. You know, build people up. just, there is a way to make it work. The only thing I don't like is that how it's sort of draining the main cards of a lot of pay-per-views. Like, you think about UFC 175, we had the Rousey fight, the Weidman fight. There wasn't much else. Hall versus Santos was really good, but Hall's still working his way up, and I don't think anyone really knew who Thiago Santos was. You have Brimage versus Doan. That wasn't, looking back a year, when you had a pay-per-view card, all 5 fights were fights that generated a ton of interest. But now you're taking fights like McGregor versus Brandao, Miller versus Cerrone, Lee versus Mike Bisping. You're taking them off of pay-per-view main cards, putting them as the main event or co-main of a fight night, and it's just, man, if you're going to be charging $60 for a pay-per-view, I want more than an awesome main event and co-main. I want all 5 fights to be legit. Really weird. I'm a sort of like in the corner of my eye watching the Glory Kickboxing, which if you are listening live, tune into Spike and watch the best KOs of Glory. They were showing Zach Mukasa versus Pat Barry, and I just saw myself in the crowd, and that freaked me out for a second. But our buddy Chris White 209 just tweeted in, "What you talking about, bro? WWE SmackDown was just on a few hours ago." But man, I wouldn't have a problem with these fight cards if they weren't draining the main cards of all of these pay-per-views and all of these shows. Now we're seeing a lot, like where last year, the year before, if you had a 5-fight pay-per-view main card, all 5 of those fights we had a ton of interest in. Now a lot of UFCs, we have a good main event, a good co-main, but aside from that, the talent is really being drained to make all these main fights for fight night cards, and I don't like that at all, dude.
In the words of Tony Soprano, what are you gonna do? What's it gonna do?
What are you gonna do about it?
All I know is
yeah.
I've never seen or spent any time watching a UFC event where I've been like, oh shit, I honestly wish I'd have done something else that night. Honestly, I've never had that feeling. I've had where I've been like, I wish I hadn't bought that pay-per-view, but I've never had a free fight come on TV where I was like, man, this was a complete waste of time. If given the chance, I would do things differently. That does not happen, man.
And you do make a good point in that these fights are free, and I guess I shouldn't be bitching if, I am paying for cable, but they are free. I would be paying for the cable. Either way, let's start breaking down fights. Let's get to UFC Fight Night 45, Cerrone versus Miller at the Revel in Atlantic City. The first fight on UFC Fight Pass actually made UFC history. It was the first women's strawweight fight ever in the promotion. That's 115 pounds for those who don't know. And Claudia Gadelha, who a lot of people are saying might be a challenger for that belt. She beat Tina Latamaki in a very one-sided decision. The prelims card, we saw the prelim card. We saw a lightweight fight, and these 4 fights were on Fox Sports 1. A lightweight fight between Jos Dennis Cedeno and Jared Sanders, where unfortunately Sanders hurt his knee and had to call it a fight after the first round. My boy, the MMA podcast alumni, Aljamain Sterling, looking good against the Wolverine. Tough Brazil, I think one alumni, Hugo Viana, beating him via TKO in the 3rd round. Leslie Smith defeating one of the 4 horsewomen, Jessamine Duke, via TKO in the 1st round. And Gleison Tebow defeating Pat Healy via unanimous decision. Healy's fourth loss in a row. Rumors were floating around that he had been cut. Moving up to the main card, Lucas Martins defeating Alex White via 3rd round KO at featherweight. At flyweight, John Lineker defeating defeating Alptekinos Kilic via third round TKO, the Brazilian Lineker moving his way up. Joe Proctor defeating Justin Salas, that being a lightweight fight. Rick Story was originally supposed to fight John Howard. Howard dropped out with an injury, replaced by Leonardo Mafra. Story won in the second round with a pretty slick arm triangle choke. And we had Edson Barboza with a TKO liver kick, followed up with some impressive punches against Evan Dunham. What stood out for you? It was cool seeing the first 115-pound fight in UFC, ever, in the UFC ever. Always cool seeing the first fight ever in a weight class. Sterling looked good. Feel bad for Sanders having torn an ACL myself. I'm actually not sure what the knee injury was, but it obviously was pretty major for him to have to end the fight there. I'm a fan of Ronda. Yeah. You dropped out. I'm still fucking ranting. I am a fan of the four horsewomen, so it was kind of shitty to see Duke lose. I'm a fan of Healy. Was sad to see him lose. Edson looked impressive as fuck. Rick Story is the gatekeeper and probably the most stacked division in the UFC. Win against Johnny. Rick, I mean, I'm not just saying this because it rhymes with his first name, but that kid really is a brick. He's just so dense and so difficult to take. Like, he is a fucking brick, and that second round finish didn't shock me at all. We're breaking down every fight on the card except the main event. What did you think of UFC Fight Night Cerrone versus Miller?
Look, that first 115-pound women's fight in the new division, I hope that's the first and last fight that we ever see.
Wow.
These women, come on, give me a break. These lighter class, these women weigh nothing. They're not going to knock each other out.
I mean, it's not about. I mean, watching the sport,
you know what it kind of is, though.
Isn't about looking for a knockout.
Come on. I'm not going to lie to the audience. I'm not going to kid myself about human nature. I want to know that it's at least a possibility. I don't want to see these women just going to a decision every time or working out some cheesy ass submission. I don't want to see a jiu-jitsu I'm sorry. I want to see power. I want to see knockouts. I think these women should at least, if they're going to have a 150-pound division, they should at least be allowed to juice. I understand it's very controversial, but this fight did nothing for me. I did make a lot of money on this card betting, though. I was wrong about Mafra. I thought he would take out Story. That was a big disappointment. Mafra was built up. Just one of these guys, man. He's got a good manager, keeps him protected, but now he's in the UFC, gets his ass handed to him by a gatekeeper. Embarrassing. I fell for it, lost a lot of coin on that one, but overall I did well. Who else was on this one? Oh, Jessamyn Duke. Oh, yeah. Jesus. Remember the last fight? It went to a boring ass decision. The fight was terrible. She looked terrible and slow. But when it was announced that she lost, she had this look of outrage on her face, and she was like protesting and didn't realize that she just turned in one of the worst performances. She'd set back women's MMA 10 years easily, single-handedly with that fight, and here she did it again. I think it's time for her to get cut. I'm sorry. I wouldn't be surprised if the four horsewomen just straight up just forget all about her, change their name to there'll be the three wise women if they drop her ass. Otherwise, they're going to be the four horses' asses. That's it. That's the bottom line. They got to get rid of this Jessamyn Duke, and I love her to death. She's 5'11". But what else has she got going? Nothing that I've seen, and so what? Rest her soul. That's it. I'm done with her.
Our buddy Chris White 209 tweets in, what do you think about this thought? He says, for the lighter weight classes, we should have 3 count falls.
I guess, but who's these refs? Who's going to be, then the refs are going to have to wear actual striped shirts, and they're going to factor into act more than they should. I don't know, man. I think if they're going to it's going to be a 115-pound fight, they should have to fight until one of them is actually pronounced dead, dies. If they're not going to knock each other out, you got to find some way to kill her. I mean, some way. You got to finish these fights, all right? We don't want to see 15 minutes of sparring and just who's got better jits, all right? I can go to Ross's gym and pay $20 and just hang out all day. That's the bottom line.
That's the goddamn bottom line. We'll move on to the main event. Donald Cerrone defeating Jim Miller with a head kick, follows it up with punches, wins the fight in the second round, 3 minutes, 31 seconds in. What did you think? Donald Cerrone, you gotta love guys who not only fight all the fucking time. This was his third fight of 2014, but he's finished all of them. He finished Martins with a head kick. He finished Barboza with a rear naked choke after he dropped him with strikes. Has gotten a performance of the night bonus in all 4 of his last fights. Donald Cerrone looking real crisp. Apparently he was supposed to fight Khabib Nurmagomedov at UFC 178 in September. However, it was scrapped like 20 minutes after, when it was revealed that Khabib, or Habib, I guess you're not supposed to pronounce the K, he suffered a knee injury literally minutes after signing the contract. Really unlucky for the Russian. But who next for Cerrone? And Jim Miller, it's tough. He gets on these streaks, and like he had a real nice streak going, and then he lost to Maynard. Then he got another real nice streak going, then he lost to Bendo. Then he beat Gillard, then he got a title eliminator fight against Diaz, then he lost. Then he hadn't lost since that until Cerrone, and he lost. Are you willing to call him a gatekeeper? What do you think about Miller's status in the UFC lightweight division, along with Cerrone's, if we're breaking it all down, cocksucker?
Well, I don't know why people think I sound crazy every time I point out the simple fact that the win by Donald Cowboy Brokeback Mountain Cerrone against Jim Miller was totally bogus, and the fight was a work, people. It was a work in the sense that it was complete bullshit, and the ref dropped the ball here. Jim Miller was two-piece in Cerrone, owning him. And then he got kicked in the balls by Donald Cerrone. And people are saying, oh, the replay, you can see the kick hits him but just below the belt. The answer is yes and no. The top of his foot initially connects with what you would call his lower abdomen in the legal zone, but his heel clearly slammed in Jim Miller's junk, causing the painful reaction and nut shot. It was a nut shot. Watch it again. The heel connected and clipped him. All right.
On my fucking nuts.
Jim Miller should have been given 5 minutes to recover. He was not. It was just ruled a low blow, and the fight continued immediately. And after that, he was knocked out after being crippled by a cheap, illegal shot. The win is invalid. I saw it with my own eyes. Watch it again. Quit having your blinders on. I know you want to see awesome, fantastic miracle finishes by the Cowboy. He's a superstar. But no, he kicked Miller in the balls and then whooped his ass illegally. And that's the bottom line. That is the word on the street.
Yeah, Cerrone, I think I laid out all I wanted to say. The guy just looks incredible. I mean, man, let me check. Where does he rank up there with the current lightweights? Lightweight rankings, Donald Cerrone is now 5th. Wow. After the champion Pettis, your top 10 are Bendo, Gilbert, Thompson, Habib, Cerrone, RDA, Miller, Jury, Barboza, and Johnson. So Cerrone's worked his way up. Shit, I mean, really, he could be a win or two away from a title shot. And man, if Gilbert had the belt, that would be really exciting. If it was Pettis, it would obviously take a little bit away from it, just in the fact that Pettis finished him pretty easily last time. It'll probably make it a little bit harder for him to earn that shot. But, man, Donald Cerrone looking impressive. Let's move on. Saturday's card, UFC Fight Night. Conor McGregor against Diego Brandao. Before we talk about the fights, what did you think of the European announcers? Because, I mean, they had a few runs before, and I don't want to say they were bad, but you could tell it was kind of their first run. Certain parts just felt sort of shaky. They killed it last Saturday. Dublin, Ireland, the O2. Only about 10,000 people there, but the crowd was raucous. Yeah, it was 9,500 people, a gate of 1.4 million. The crowd was going crazy. The announcers were doing excellent. What did you think of the presentation before we get into the fights themselves?
Man, the accent, it's a problem for me. I'll be honest. I still have a problem getting past it. I can ignore it, but like it changes kind of the mood of what I'm watching. I'm watching a UFC card. It's something about hearing these guys with their accents, man, their Liverpool, UK, wherever they're from. I don't even know. Maybe Australia. I don't even know. But something about it, man, it doesn't rub me the wrong way. It's like when you put together a puzzle, but one of the pieces you just jammed in there, it ain't the right piece. And then what's with Dan Hardy? I'm sorry, looking like the bad guy from Fifth Element, Gary Oldman's character. The child molesting mustache, the hipster hairdo. That's just played out because it's so over the top. It becomes like everything that the hipsters would hate, seeing themselves, and I can't get into it. Let's get some Americans over there. At this point, I would even agree to having an American female commentator try her hand at this because it's not working for me. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
So you bring up an interesting point. American female. Who would be a good female MMA commentator? I'm thinking, like, my first thought is Rousey, because Rousey is obviously really well spoken and knows the sport, but she's so busy, whether it's training for a fight, doing a movie. I don't know if she would really have the time to study up and actually put the time into being a good commentator until she was retired. I guess you could. They've got a bunch of pretty good female talent over at ESPN with Erin Andrews, another UF graduate. But honestly, I can't think of any women who would specialize. I think Julie Kedsey's done some work as a commentator, and she's been really good at it. Kedsey's super funny. Follow her on Twitter. But
Shad's wife.
Oh my God.
She'd be good for in-fight commentary.
Who else?
Color commentary, no racism implied. I'd like to see.
Oh my God.
A girly MMA would be good. What's her face? We were talking about her earlier.
Our boy
Crooklyn.
Davey just tweeted in Christy Hem. I've never heard of her, but fuck
Christy
yeah, Christy Hem. Yeah, Christy and then Hem spelled Hemme. We are doing some live Googling here on the show, folks. Christy Hem is a professional wrestling valet. I don't know what the fuck that means.
What?
Retired pro wrestler, ring announcer, former model, and singer. Currently signed to TNA as a ring announcer and interviewer. She used to be a diva, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, damn. Our boy Davey Boy with a nice fucking call. But, yeah.
Katie could do some commentary, I'm sure. She has a really nice voice. Hey, Katie.
Color commentary. Oh, my God.
Yeah,
right,
Shad's wife.
UFC fight night, Brandao versus McGregor. Let's break it all down. The Fight Pass card had 6 fights, starting with Patrick Houlihan, who unfortunately beat our most recent guest, Josh Sampo, via rear naked choke. At 205, Nikita Krylov defeats Cody Donovan via first round TKO. Only about 3 seconds left in the round when he finished it. Trevor Smith defeating Team Darkside's own Thor Trong via unanimous decision, 29-28 across the board. Cathal Pendred defeating Mike King via technical submission. Neil Seary defeating Phil Harris via unanimous decision. And Ilir Latifi, the Sledgehammer, man, he looked good against Chris Dempsey, beating him via KO. Just hard punches 2 minutes into the fight. And on the main card, Storm in Norman Park defeats Naomi Nayuki Kotani. Fuck these crazy names. No offense to Asian people. Via second round TKO, Ian McCall, Uncle Creepy, friend of the show, defeats Brad Pickett via unanimous decision. And Gunnar Nelson, Zach Cummings put up a hell of a fight. I don't think anyone really expected him to take any rounds against Gunnar, and he took the first round against Gunnar. But once Gunnar was able to get it to the mat in the second round, Gunnar's just so good rolling, and he won the fight via rear naked choke. We'll save the main event for its own little topic, but what stood out here, we had a couple guys from Team Darkside going up. Unfortunately, they went 2-0, but damn it, Trong looked good. Trevor Smith is underrated as shit, and to take a round against him is not easy. And the same thing for Zach Cummings, beating Gunnar Nelson in the first round. I was really excited. I really thought Cummings was going to be able to win a huge upset, but unfortunately it didn't happen, and Gunnar ended up getting that second round finish. What did you take from all of the fights, sans Connors?
It was the only I bet heavily on this entire card, and the only money I lost, of course, Team Sun and Alumni. They had a bad night. Zach Cummings and Tortron. That was damn shitty. Broke my heart. Broke my damn heart. But I can only speculate, that's they need to circle back, come back to their roots, get some more training in. They've been outside of Coach Jamie the Living Legend Huey's tutelage for a while now, and guess what? And now they lost a fight. I mean, maybe it's coincidence, maybe not. Zach Cummings was close, man. He just made a mistake, got caught. Tor just, got outworked, man. It was sad to see, but, I had light bets on those guys. Loyalty bets, you got to watch yourself with that. I got that kind of discipline. I had the heavy money on the first fight on the damn card, and the only fight on the Fight Pass prelims, Patrick Houlihan, his debut fight. For some reason, he was an underdog in the books. So I bet the shit out of him, and I'll tell you right now, I won 4 figures off that man.
Damn.
He was the underdog. I couldn't believe it. It was one of the easiest calls, easiest money. I did, man. Of course, the entire that country did well that night, but holy shit, that fight. He was the only underdog. I bet the hell out of him. It paid off very, very damn well. Just a shame about the main event, but of course we'll get to that. And yeah, man, damn shame for Team Sonnen, but it's been a rough month overall for any, you're under the sun and banner, you're taking a lot of heat. It's coming in hot. The action. You got to weather the storm, gentlemen. We will be back. We will return. We will rise high. That's the word on the street.
Main event, Conor McGregor. I was really excited for the fight against Miller. The fight against Diego was fun, but I don't think he really was able to prove anything, because I don't think anyone really thought of Diego Brandao as really a title contender at 145. He's already been slated against Dustin Poirier at UFC 178. We're going to touch on that a little later on in the show when we talk about fight bookings, along with Gustafsson out. We got Jones Cormier, going to be talking about Vitor Weidman, Pettis Melendez, both of those last two slated for UFC 181. But getting back to the main event, Conor versus Diego. Diego looked good, certain points toward the beginning of the fight. I think he left himself open a little too much. He never got rocked, but there were openings that Diego had to capitalize on. But Conor, winning the fight in impressive fashion, 4 minutes and 5 seconds in, defeats Diego Brandao. What did you make of it? Conor winning in front of the home crowd, going absolutely nuts.
Yeah, I'm sorry. You already know what I'm going to say. This fight was a total setup. It was, in fact, what I like to refer to and what is commonly known in the business as a work, people. The fight was a work. It totally was.
I played the drop, and you almost did it right alongside the drop.
Oh,
Jesus Christ.
I know, man. Oh, I know, because everyone feels it in their bones, man, and I do too. Everyone watching this fight, we knew this was going to be a setup, a hometown cooking situation at best. Actually at worst, sorry. And then what we saw was the best. Of course, Conor comes out to full glory and splendor, knocks the guy out in the first round easily. The guy's just begging to be knocked out, looking at Conor's and looking at him against the cage. He's like, you can knock me out or what, man? This is it. Let's do this. I saw it. You're a fool if you didn't see it as well. This was a gimme fight, a tune-up fight, a layup fight. It was spectacular. It worked out. Conor McGregor's a superstar. They put him over. It was the Conor McGregor show, but I wasn't buying it, people. This was a, what are we, little children now? This is John Cena winning again. And anybody surprised? No. Nobody was surprised. This kind of thing, it has to happen. They have to build their stars. I understand it's a business, it's entertainment, but I'm not going to pretend like Conor McGregor is the second coming. All right, this fight proved absolutely nothing. Now he's all of a sudden in the top 10. Give me a damn break. The fight was a work. It was a setup. But hats off to the UFC, successful event. I didn't bet this fight, of course, because obviously it was manufactured. That's the bottom line.
That's the bottom line. What do you think about Conor's chances to ever be a champion at featherweight? Do you think he has the skills to get up there?
At this point, his skills are inconsequential. It's just a matter of whether it's financially beneficial to the UFC to give him the belt. So if the events line up, they will put him over. They'll set him up with that easy belt. So his skills have nothing to do with this. I've seen nothing. He hasn't. Who has he beaten that actually should put him in the top 10? I don't know. Can you name him? I don't know. Can anybody? This is fighter manufacturing. You're watching it happen. Enjoy it, but just keep in mind it's entertainment. This had nothing to do with rankings or skill. Just watch what happens to this kid.
I mean, so you think they're gonna build him up too fast? Like,
yeah, definitely. I mean, he's got the heat now. You can't just let it burn. I mean, there's only so many fish you can feed this guy. But before you need to put him on a pay-per-view and just, you gotta, when you're turning a girl out, man, you gotta put her to work. You gotta sell before she starts, the minute she goes from 19 years old to 20, it's all over. You gotta drop her. You gotta find a new one. All right? You understand what I'm saying here, Jake, man? The window, very narrow. And Conor McGregor, man, they got to put him over fast and capitalize on this shit. Right now they're kicking themselves that they put Alexander Gustafsson on the cover of EAUFC when it could have been Conor. They're so pissed off right now. So I wouldn't be surprised if they change that in 2015. This kid, that's it. This title is his to fuck up and lose at this point. It's just a formality of just finding someone for him to beat for it. That's the bottom line.
That's the bottom line. I think that does it for McGregor versus Brandao. So let's get to the news. crazy week in news. A couple days ago, everyone was going apeshit. The news we've all been waiting for: Nick Diaz is back. He signed a 3-fight deal with the UFC, and he is going to be fighting again. Man, it's nice to see him back. I guess they finally agreed on terms. He's been out for a while, but man, one of the sports, his fighting style is so unique, and his out of the cage personality is so unique. It's nice to see him back. Are you as glad as me to see Nick Diaz back in the UFC?
Yes, but I'm not one of these people that started crying in ecstasy last night when the news broke. All right, it got a little ridiculous with some people. Some people were celebrating like their lives had changed. All right, they were believing again. Like some people were like shocked and just like, and now they're ordering the best of Nick Diaz on eBay and the UFC store. It's ridiculous. All right, now all of a sudden everybody's a fan again. Everybody's back in. Everybody's already talking about Anderson Silva.
Diaz 125.
Yeah, let me tell you something, man. Everyone right away, even Ariel Hawaii was he had a full pathetic erection, and he was talking about Anderson Silva versus Nick Diaz being the first fight. Let me tell you something. Is Anderson Silva going to come back and fight at 185 right off the bat? Can he do it? Is Nick Diaz going to move up and fight at 185? Has that even been discussed or even asked? If the fight is at 205, does it still happen? Obviously, Dana's saying they haven't even talked to Anderson. But yeah, I'm glad Nick Diaz is back. This is good. I just hope that he worked out a deal for his brother too. Got him a little, put the squeeze on a little bit. Said, hey, Dana, Lorenzo, if I'm gonna come back and do this, you gotta break off a little piece of the pie for my brother. You gotta see things. You gotta spread the wealth here. You gotta take care of me. You know what I'm saying? I want to see a padded envelope in Nate Diaz's locker next week, and hopefully he worked out something like that. This is a 3-fight deal, so he probably, at least minimum, he wanted $1 million per fight. So it's a $3 million contract. This is all my speculation, but I'm very good at this, people, and I do have the word on the street. So he's probably got a $3 million 3-fight deal. And of course, they would want to make, if the first fight is with Anderson, that means he's going to have to work the fight and lose to Anderson. Right away, that's what I would do if I were running the organization. 3 fights, he gets $1 million to fight Anderson. He dives to him. He's got 2 more fights with guaranteed paydays. He wins. Win. It's all about the money with this kid. It ain't about the belt. Nobody's fighting. He ain't fighting for the belt. He's not that dumb. But he is fighting for the money. And that's the goddamn word on the street.
Man, you laid it out well, but Nick Diaz, Anderson Silva, we might see that next year, Super Bowl weekend. I think a lot of people, Vegas will probably put Silva up as a favorite for not only being bigger, but come on, aside from 2 losses to Chris Weidman, we're talking about the greatest fighter of all time. Do you think Nick Diaz has a chance to beat Anderson?
No. If they fight, it will be a complete 100% work. Nick Diaz will not be allowed to attack the injured leg of Anderson Silva. It will be a dog and pony show, a glorified sparring match with the agreement, no knockouts, no horrible beatdowns, no leg breakings, nothing like that. It's going to be a heavy sparring match. Maybe Nick Diaz can convince himself that it's going to be a best man win situation with these unspoken rules, but he knows, right? They're going to work him. He's not new to this either. He wants some money. He'll let Anderson Silva get the best of him in a little light back and forth going. I doubt they'll even go 5 rounds in this fight. Come on, give me a break. It'll be probably 3 rounds. Just glorified. Nothing of consequence, but everyone's going to be like, oh, Jesus, Anderson's back. Did you see that shit? He whooped Nick Diaz's ass, and everybody goes home rich and paid. Maybe they even have a stupid rematch. But no, it's impossible for Nick to beat him in a straight up fight. Yes, of course, you just fucking just give him the John Jones clip to the leg there. You just take out the bad leg, and that's it. Case closed. But he's not going to do that. I guarantee you, he will not throw one serious strike at the healed up leg of Anderson Silva. I would bet my entire life. We'll see. Hold me to it. Record it. Stat. On the street.
On the street. Oh, my voice is going to be hurting tomorrow for doing that. Yeah. Other than Anderson Silva, any thoughts about who Diaz could take on? Silva's probably the only person he would, change up weight classes for. So looking at the welterweight division now, a rematch against Condit, I'm sure a bunch of people would love. Condit, like Silva, recovering from a knee injury. Who else? You got Woodley and Kim fighting next month. You got probably the loser of Brown Lawler. I assume the winner will probably get a title shot. Rory McDonald, who puzzlingly, every time someone gets as close as Rory is to a title, they're scratching, clawing for it. Dana's even said, "I love when guys demand a title shot," and Rory's literally like, "Yeah, I understand. Lawler Brown will get it. It's whatever. I'll just fight whoever. It's okay." Which, man, I guess respect for being a company man, but come on, son. Who other than Silva makes sense? You like the thought of a Condit rematch? 125?
No, I don't think that really sells too many pay-per-views. If you're bringing Nick Diaz back for 3 fights, okay? Let's assume one of them's the Anderson Silva fight. The other 2, they gotta be big name fights that are gonna sell. You're not gonna line up Nick Diaz for a legitimate. You're not gonna put a title fight on with him, but you might give him the title contendership match. Just you might let him get that. So yeah, in that case, Rory McDonald is at the top of the list. People would pay to see Rory versus Nick Diaz. Of course, if GSP comes back, he's automatically on the list as a possibility. But GSP is going to come back immediately, rematch him for the title. So that's kind of out of the question. But he's, if he wins the title, that fight's on. So Rory, GSP, Anderson Silva, Michael Bisping would be another fight that people. It could move a little pay-per-view there. Maybe not as the main event, but it'd beef up a card. And I don't see him going up against fucking Weidman or maybe Johnny Hendricks. Maybe if for some reason they give Nick Diaz a fight that isn't Anderson and he whoops whoever's ass it is. Maybe Johnny Hendricks, but not. They won't give an immediate title shot to him. No way. That's all I got.
And that's the bottom line. We'll move on. A topic that honestly I'm going to let you lead off because I know you have some strong opinions about it. Vitor Belfort and Chael Sonnen both go before the commission. Vitor Belfort gets a title shot. Chael Sonnen gets banned for 2 years. What are your thoughts? And I'll save the whole UFC whoring it out and putting it on Fight Pass part for later.
What I saw, it's a damn shame when they force a good, honorable man. When they try to drag him through the mud, drag his name through the mud, when really, he really hasn't hurt anyone specifically. Chael Sonnen has never hurt anybody. I'm sorry. It just hasn't. I mean, you can give him all the steroids in the world. Who has he ever actually harmed? Even people arguing, oh man, he had an unfair advantage over his opponents. He's never even knocked anybody out in the UFC or the WEC. He hasn't knocked anybody out in almost 10 years. So you can't give me the superhuman strength argument. He could have concussed people. He never did. He never came close to that, as actually, in fact. So what happened to him when he hadn't harmed anybody? Seeing this, he's fired. Lost his means of income. shamed, humiliated, disgraced in front of the public, lost his chance to fight again. I mean, they fired him for the UFC. He can't compete for at least 2 years, and effectively, he'd be 39 to 40 years old by the time he came back. So that's effective. He's done. I'm sorry. I think he's done. It brought a tear to my eye. I did, after watching the hearing live on Fight Pass, I did become physically ill and vomit, just in disgust. Chael Sonnen, man. Friend of mine, I am a believer. The man.
Are you a believer?
I'm a believer 100%, man. Chael, he'll be back in some way or shape or form. He's still competing with Adam Morris. But this is the worst. It's disgusting. It's a perfect example of what the MMA media is all about, what the Athletic Commission is all about. Just people, you give them some power, and then all of a sudden somebody's life is ruined when they've never done any harm to anybody in reality. Vitor, I'm glad he's getting another chance, I guess. Gives a shit. I mean, he's still making money for the company, and like in the movie Casino, Robert De Niro, they let him live because the Jew's making the money, the boss's money. In the end, all they care about, as long as the envelope's coming in. And I'm gonna just stop now because I'm gonna get sick again, Jake.
Smoke one for Sonnen.
Got a little vomit in my mouth. This one's for you, Chael.
People, what I just did was totally legal. I have a prescription to do this. But
Bam.
I did want to bring up the point. It was pretty funny. I looked on StubHub the other day at just combat sports tickets, boxing tickets, UFC tickets, Metamoris tickets. Aside from the Mayweather-Maidana rematch, the most expensive ticket right now in combat sports is Metamoris. And do you think that's because of Andre Galvao? No. Do you think that's because of Josh Barnett or Dean Lister? No. It's because of Chael Sonnen, still a big draw. And our boy Davey Boy tweets in, who got fed to the Wolves, tested positive 2 times for one fight, went through the NSA cheering, and got a job offer. And then it's a picture of Chael Sonnen. He went to the damn athletic commission and got a job offer. I actually never watched it. My parents were in town. I was at the Coors Brewing Factory, drinking
so mad.
3 free beers. What is this I'm hearing about a job offer? Did like the guy say like you can work for us eventually? What did he say? Fucking everyone wants Chael to work for him. Bellator, ONE FC, now the goddamn NSAC. Oh, it wasn't NSA cheering, it was NSAC hearing. I'm fucking retarded. Yeah. What exactly happened with him getting a job offer? Because I still haven't seen it, and just judging by the disgust of everyone I know who did see it, I didn't care to watch it.
They basically sat Chael down. They read the charges. They asked him if he had anything to say. He said he was guilty. He had no defense. He did it. He was ashamed with himself, and he was there at the mercy of the court, basically, is what Chael said. And then these 2 assholes from the district attorney's office, these attorneys for the state, they come and testify. Just they do the whole. They were the classic like cartoonish like everything you've ever seen in a cheesy movie. It was them. They were saying, "Oh, he's a cheater. He's disgraced the sport. He should be made an example of. We are a high and mighty institution, and these people were the example of the kids. He could have used a Superman punch to kill his opponents at any moment." It was that kind of bullshit from these 2 assholes, these 2 cuckolded son of a bitches, allegedly. The cowards from the commission, demanding that Chael be banned for a lifetime. You watch this thing, Jake. You'll be disgusted by these 2 pathetic pieces of low life trash. People that have never, this is their only this is the only significant thing where they've ever done where they've held like the ability to like make important decisions, and so of course they'll just make one. That's why they fucked up the Matt Brown weigh-in. Actually, we haven't even gotten to that, but yeah, man, watch it on Fight Pass. The Anzac hearing, your blood will boil at what they do to Chael, and they drag him through the mud, make him answer questions, and then yes, after they've bent him over the table and made Chael take it, they then try to get him to turn into a snitch for them somehow, and they're like, Chael, we'd love you to work with us, and just fill us in on how people are cheating. They basically wanted a who, what, and where, and they wanted Chael to basically just state's evidence and just turn into a Jose Canseco for them. It was insulting. It was ridiculous. Chael should have just flipped over that fucking table and just broken the neck of every single commissioner one by one in sequential order, left to right. Just moved from one seat to the other. Just crack, 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 until they were all done, man. That would have been great to see on Fight Pass, and well worth the $9.99 that I'm currently paying per month for it.
God damn. And talking about the Fight Pass, I didn't like that it was on Fight. Like, the fact that the UFC, like, Chael was being so loyal to the UFC, and he made sure with Dana, Metamoris was cool. He was asked by Steve Austin on his show whether he'd ever do pro wrestling, and Chael says, no, I'm too loyal to the UFC. Like, I'm a UFC guy. UFC turns his back on him, and then they want to go ahead and stream it on Fight Pass. They want to, after just like completely fucking him over, they want to profit off of airing Chael Sonnen getting banned from the sport. Like, what the fuck, dude?
I understand setting an example, and it's one thing to just turn a man's mistake, well, it wasn't really a mistake to me, but you know what I'm saying, to shame a man after you've already fired him, ruined his career, his financial means of income, his name, his reputation, his passion, his life goal of being a champion. He's lost it all. He's at basically what anyone else would consider rock bottom, if not for the fact that he's filthy rich. Okay, let's not forget Chael's rich, so haha. Luckily, but if he was not rich, this man would be completely destitute and would have every reason in the world to end his life. I'm sorry, with what has happened to him. Fortunately, he's got money. He's got a beautiful, gorgeous wife, and he's got a kid on the way. He's got a house paid for. He's got a little bit of that, what GSP calls passive income, but of course that's considerably been diminished, and that's a damn shame. But he will rebound. But this is definitely depressing. This is the saddest shit, and it's a damn shame that the UFC rubbed it in his face by airing it on their Fight Pass network after they fired his ass. The company fires you, you get fired, and then on their website they're just airing your dirty laundry after that. It's ridiculous. I'm sorry. I wasn't on board with this one because he is retired and no longer in competition. That's it.
Final question before we move on to the Tank Scoggins interview. You think there is any future between Sonnen and the UFC down the road? You think they ever can, patch things up? Things aren't negative. Dana just says good things about Chael. Chael, I'm sure, just says good things about Dana. You think that happens down the road? I screamed at Dana after the TUF 19 finale. I said, rehire Chael, and he just laughed. Do you think there is any possibility there?
Yep, the minute the UFC needs Chael Sonnen back, the minute they need him, of course, boils down to money. They'll get him. They'll ask him back. So it's going to be up to Chael Sonnen himself. Who knows how disgusted he'll be with the people that dropped him, ruined his life. So it's good. It's going to totally fall into his hands. I don't know what he'll. I think since he's left the door open, he'll probably come back if they ask him to. So it's just a matter of when they need him. And trust me, they will need him. Just like Vince McMahon always needs Hulk Hogan back. That's it. That's the bottom line.
That's the damn bottom line. Let's get straight to it. Justin Tank Scoggins, I actually spoke with him earlier today, UFC flyweight. At that same TUF 19 finale I went to in Vegas, lost a controversial split decision. I think he won. We touched on that, touched on his nickname, touched on Diaz Anderson, DC versus John Jones, all sorts of shit. So here we go. It's about 12 and a half minutes long. Me and Tank Scoggins shooting the shit. We're joined by UFC flyweight Justin Scoggins today. How are you doing today, man?
I'm doing great, brother. How you doing?
Very good, very good. Let's dive straight in. You're currently not booked for a fight, but walk us through a day in the life of Tank when you're not in training camp.
Well, normally I like to try to stay active and keep my weight down, so I don't, because if I take too long off, I'm one of those guys that'll blow up a lot. So I gotta stay in the gym, stay active, which that's what I like to do. I like to stay learning, and so I get up in the morning, just get my training in, give me something good to eat, and it's pretty much just chilling and studying, and it's martial arts 24/7 for me. I don't like to go out a lot. I like to kind of chill at the house with my dog and just study and learn and become a better person, a better fighter.
What weight do you normally walk around at out of camp?
Well, I have been known to get up to like 160, so I'm trying to keep it down a little bit. But right now I'm holding my weight pretty good around like 145 and keeping it at a reasonable weight. Because I'm trying to get right back in the cage. I wasn't happy with the result of my last fight, and I know I'm a lot better than that. So it's no time for rest.
Definitely. How much will things ratchet up once you get a fight booked and you're preparing for somebody?
Right now I haven't really missed stride. I kind of just got right back into camp because I knew I was going to be trying to get another fight soon. So, I've been taking a couple days off when I need it, but really what'll change is I'll up the intensity. I'll get back on, making sure I hit all my mid sessions and stuff, and just making sure I don't miss any practices, and upping the intensity of my sparring sessions and stuff.
Definitely, yeah. You're fighting in a awesome camp down in Florida. Speaking of fight bookings, do you have any idea who your next opponent might be, and when you'd ideally like to get back in the cage? I saw a couple days ago you sort of hinted that some news might be coming down the wire.
Right, yeah. I got a phone call the other day. Actually, my managers and the matchmakers are actually talking right now. And, we're trying to get something lined up. And, I'm ready to fight whenever. I'll fight in, 3 weeks, 2 weeks, 6 weeks. It doesn't matter when. So I'm just waiting for them to give me the call. And I'm eager to get back in there and, make a statement.
Yeah, definitely. Tank, I gotta ask the obligatory question. Where did you get that nickname? Tank is an awesome nickname to have, man.
Yeah, when I was little, I've actually been watching the UFC and stuff since the very first ones. And my favorite fighter was always Tank Abbott. And I guess everybody thought that was kind of weird, or they thought it was cool, I guess. But when I started karate and when I was sparring and stuff, I was kind of a wild child, and I like to go in there and bang with other kids, and they're like, "Man, he fights like Tank." His favorite fighter's Tank. He kind of fights like Tank Abbott. So actually, Stephen Thompson started calling me that. He fights in the UFC, and he started calling me that when I was little, and it just stuck.
Man, I had no clue that was a tribute to Tank Abbott. That's fucking awesome, man. Holy shit.
Yeah.
Myself and two panelists from this show, Ross and Alan, we saw you after your fight at the Tough 19 finale. First, let me say that you and Dustin put on an amazing fight. Second, I do honestly think you won. I think a lot of people thought you won. How do you stay positive and move past a fight? I'm sure you think you won, but obviously, shows up as a loss on your record, the first loss of your career, I believe.
Yeah, that was really tough for me. I've never lost, doing combat sports. That's the first time I've lost, and it was really after that. It was a big wake up call and a big shock to me. I was like, that's never something I've pictured in my head as happening. But, as far as that decision goes, like, I've watched the fight and everybody, a lot of people have told me that they thought that I won. But, in my head, I know I didn't perform the way that I'm supposed to perform, that I normally perform. I'm not even going to say that I had an off night. I don't know, what it was really, just like I didn't fight like myself. So I know that, that with that decision, it didn't upset me. That's not what I was upset about. I'm not one of these guys that's going to bitch and complain about a decision, because I know I'm a lot better fighter than I fought that night. And that's my goal. And is to go in every time. And it's taught me to be that fighter every time, not let somebody else dictate the pace or let somebody else, suck you into their game plan. You just got to go out there and you got to do exactly what you do and what you're capable of.
I like it. If you think you hadn't had a rough night, the guy on the main event, one of my favorite fighters ever, beat BJ Penn. He had a very rough night. What do you think was up with that weird fighting style, fighting on his tiptoes? That was so bizarre. Did you get a chance to watch it backstage, or were you sort of going through all of the motions of the commission and all that stuff?
No, I watched it. I thought it was weird too. I was like, dang, I've never seen BJ fight like this. But camps are always coming up with different game plans, new stuff. Fighters are weird. They'll try new stuff and do different stuff too. So it was just like, there wasn't much coming out of it. But I mean, I'm sure he had something in his head. There was a reason he was doing it, but I couldn't figure it out. But it was kind of weird to me.
Yeah, that was wild. Speaking of main events, this Saturday, your teammate Robbie Lawler, he's going to be going up against Matt Brown in a fight that the entire MMA world is salivating over. Obviously, I don't want you to give away his game plan, but have you seen Robbie much the last few weeks, and do you have any sort of insight on how things might play out tomorrow on UFC on Fox 12?
Man, I can just all I can say is that the dude's been busting his ass, and he's been steady busting his ass, and he hasn't really taken a break. He's been fighting the best of the best in the division, and it's not like he's been doing it over a long period of time. He's been doing it one right after the other, just bowling over guys. And he's got that hunger in his eyes. He's almost tasted that UFC gold. So, I can only imagine, the hunger that he has for it now. So, he's just pushing. He's in the gym every single day. He's busting his ass. He's motivating everybody else because of his work ethic, and I think he's going to knock out Matt Brown. I have a lot of respect for Matt Brown. I think he's a great fighter as well. He's tough, he's well rounded, but man, Robbie's got a lot of skills, a lot of power, and I think it's just his time.
Yeah, and if I'm the champ, Johnny Hendricks, I am worried about a rematch because Robbie brought the fight to him. That was a very close fight. Johnny doesn't get that 5th round takedown. Robbie could very well have won. So I think the rematch between Johnny and Robbie is a fight a lot of people want to see. The last few days have been absolutely insane in MMA, so I got to get your thoughts on a few of these fights coming up. Alex Gustafsson injured. Cormier takes his spot, and he's going to be going up against John Jones. Who do you think walks away from that fight champion?
John Jones, for sure.
For sure, really. A lot of people are saying, the way Cormier, just tossed around Josh and has, not lost a fight yet, that he might have a decent chance. You seem very, very sure about Jones winning. Why is that?
Dude, Jones is just a bad man. That dude is he's really
pretty bad.
It's a cool combination of him being him being an athlete and a fighter. It's a really good combination because he's got that NFL size to him. Like he could be an NFL player if he wanted to, but that build for an NFL player, but at the same time he's a fighter and he's got all these cool martial arts techniques that he uses, and it's just going to be hard for anybody to deal with him, man. It's going to take, honestly, in my opinion, it's going to take a John Jones to beat John Jones. It's going to take somebody that has the size of an elite, one of these elite big athletes, like an NFL player or something like that, but also has the skills of a mixed martial artist to beat John Jones.
Well, fucking put, man. Yeah. Jones is certainly a guy who will not be forgotten anytime soon. I'm talking generations down the road. People are gonna remember the name John Jones. The other crazy news yesterday, we heard Nick Diaz signed a contract, I believe 2 fights. He's back with the UFC. And a ton of people were talking about Anderson Silva versus Nick Diaz in a potential dream matchup. Who you got in that one?
I'll take Anderson in that one, man. He's bigger and he's got more tools when it comes to striking. I think Diaz got better hands, and but Anderson's got a lot of tools, dude.
Yeah, he definitely does. Final question, man. I stalked your Twitter, and I saw you recently went to Harry Potter World. I'm very jealous. I am a Florida native. I moved from Tampa about a year ago, and I'm living in Denver now. Still haven't been to HP World. Is it really as good as everything I'm hearing?
It's whatever you're hearing. It's better than that. Truly, dude. Like, I was blown away when I went up there. It was like, I was expecting it to be kind of, just like the normal thing. I was probably expecting whatever you're expecting. But if you've read the books or seen the movies, if there's anything, you'd be like, oh yeah, that was cool. And whatever, you'd be like, oh, that was cool. Oh, that was cool. In the movie, it's there at Universal Studios. It's huge. They got the castle. They've got the train, the Hogwarts Express. They got everything. They got towns, like wizard towns and stuff. It's crazy. If you're a Harry Potter fan, that definitely needs to be a place on your list of places to go.
Yeah. When I go home for Christmas, I really might need to take a road trip over there.
Oh, absolutely.
How was the butterbeer?
Oh, it was amazing. You can get it regular or you can get it frozen. I got the frozen butterbeer, and it was it tastes like it's like butterscotch, like ice cream almost. It's really good.
Damn it, I'm so jealous, but man, I think that's all I've got. Where can we find you on Twitter, and do you have any sponsors or plugs you'd like to get out there before I let you go?
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at Tank Scoggins MMA and on Instagram at Tank Scoggins UFC. I just want to thank American Top Team, Revolution Martial Arts in Boiling Springs, South Carolina, for getting me ready for my fights. I want to thank all my teammates because they're always there for me, and my friends, that I live with here in Florida, over at Dragon House. We're a tight knit group, and we're just taking over the world one fight at a time.
Awesome. We really appreciate you giving us the time. Good luck in your next fight against whoever it is. I hope to hear that news soon, and we hope to have you on again sometime down the road. Thanks again, dude.
Anytime, guys. Thank you.
Have an awesome day, man. Peace.
You too.
And there he goes. Justin Tank Scoggins talked about a whole lot. I love that his nickname is taken from Tank Abbott. Are you still with us, Ramses?
I'm here.
Hell yeah.
That Arnold imitation, that was from my Katie. Shout out.
I'm UFC gal. Shout out.
I'm here.
I'm here. Yeah. Dylan, you son of a bitch. Let's move on to some to some fight announcements. Alex Gustafsson out of the fight against John Jones. Daniel Cormier is in at UFC 178. Dude, it was the 2012 New Year's episode. I said, this is the fight I want to see more than any other fight. And we're finally seeing it. Who you got?
Well, this fight also, I'm afraid, is going to have to be a work, in my opinion. This is all just my opinion. The UFC is not going to burn their top company champion, their young champion, undefeated champion. They're not going to burn him for an older version, an older, chubbier version of him. I'm sorry. It's not going to happen. Daniel Cormier cannot and will not be allowed to win this fight against John Jones. He cannot win the belt from John Jones. I'm sorry. Not going to happen. It's an impossibility at this point. It makes no business sense whatsoever. Therefore, it will not happen. Too much money is at stake. They should label this a Floyd Mayweather production for that's what I'm trying to tell you. It's at that level, except it's John Jones production. DC, sorry, dude. He'll take the money. Trust me, he'll take the money, and they'll make it worth his first mixed martial arts loss. And that's the word on the street. You heard it first.
All right. So, assuming it was a shoot, what would happen?
Assuming it was a real, actual fight between John Jones and Daniel Cormier, that's the thing. It's still in Jones's favor. He's going to win that fight maybe 7 out of 10 times. And that's all the more reason that Cormier will agree to the work, because he knows odds are he will lose anyway. Might as well lose for that winning money, if you know what I'm saying. But if it were a real fight, yeah, Jones beats him 7 out of 10 times. Jones ain't going to put up with... Cormier ain't even using the wrestling that much anymore. He's an old man. Jones is going to hurt him, wear him out, last longer. That's it. He's just going to burn him out. Cardio. That's the biggest advantage Jones has. Cardio and reach. That's what Jones is a specialist at and became champion using. And that's all it'll take to beat DC. So, not even close. So, take the money, DC. Put on a good show. Make it look good. And remember, when your ass goes down in the 5th, that's pride fucking with you. It's pride.
Alexander Gustafsson took down John Jones. If Alexander Gustafsson can take down John Jones, what do you think Cormier is going to do? You think he's not going to be able to take him down at will?
When Gus took down Jones, that was part of the planned match. That was scripted.
Oh my God!
You really believe that Gus is sitting there with an injury right now? That he's really injured and he pulled out of a title fight in a big multi-million-dollar rematch because his knee's bothering him? Come on, man. Come on. This far ahead of time.
All right, bringing you back from crazy world into reality. Cormier Jones. This is going to be Jones's toughest title defense for sure. And I'm even including that Gus fight because DC is a motherfucker. DC is going to walk out of 178 with a strap. Watch. Jones, yeah, he's good. He's an amazing athlete. But Daniel Cormier has the tools to beat him. He's going to take him down. He's going to pound on him. He might even finish Jones. I'm guessing Cormier wins 49-46. We said we'd talk about it earlier in the show. Conor McGregor and Dustin Poirier. And we got a tweet from our boy Chris White 209, and he says, leg injury. Come on, Gus. Kurt Angle wrestled in the Olympics with a broken neck. Conor McGregor, Dustin Poirier. This is going to be really Conor's first stout test. Man, a lot of people are saying Conor is going to breeze through him. I think Conor is going to win, but I think this is going to be a really close fight. What do you think?
Conor McGregor. This kid ain't real. Everything's going to be a layup and a setup fight. I refuse to talk about. I don't recognize his top 10 status. I don't recognize that he's anything but a. Let's see. Let me. To me, in my mind, Conor McGregor may as well be. I'm just clicking here on the prelim card. He might as well be Gilbert Burns to me. All right, Gilbert Burns is fighting on the Fight Pass prelims tomorrow. To me, him and Conor.
Vitor is cornering him.
Hell, Gilbert Burns is 7-0. That's better than Conor. So
yeah, a Brazilian.
Why don't we
and
put him on the cover
Vitor
of the
will
game?
be in his corner.
You know what? You know what? Gilbert Burns needs his own pay-per-view. We need to find out what country he's from and put on an arena
Brazil.
show there. Let's do it. 50,000 soccer stadium already booked. It's for Gilbert Burns. You heard it first. Breaking news on the MMA podcast.
Gilbert Durinho Burns. He's a student of Vitor Belfort's.
He's the next Conor McGregor.
God damn. That
Hot
might
take.
actually... Hot Sprots takes. Let's get to the 10 solid seconds of sports where we break down all sports that aren't MMA in 10 seconds. Let's do it. Ray Rice proves that in the NFL's eyes, beating your wife is less serious than smoking weed. Absolutely embarrassing. The reinvigorated Cleveland Cavaliers positioned to try and get Kevin Love in a trade for Andrew Wiggins. Sports world, really slow. And he had a broken frickin' neck. Shout out to Just Bleed MMA for tweeting at us. A lot of fight bookings. Let's move from 178, where we have Jones Cormier and McGregor Poirier, to 181, where we have Vitor Weidman, and officially Pettis Melendez is actually going to be on it. We all thought Pettis Melendez would be on the January 3rd 182 card, but instead it's going to be on the 181 card, also in Vegas. But instead of at the MGM, it's at the Mandalay Bay in early December. Let's start with the middleweight championship, Vitor versus Weidman. And everyone's saying the same thing. TRT isn't allowed anymore. Vitor is off the juice. He's not going to be anything close to what he was in his last few fights. Will Vitor have a chance to beat Chris Weidman without TRT?
Holy mother of God. A chance, technically, I mean, yes. There's a chance that I might, find a winning lottery ticket as I'm walking out to my car tomorrow morning. But is it going to happen? No. Vitor, man, he had the gimmick. He had the magic potion. He had it all worked out. 2013 was the year of Vitor because, let's be honest, he was undoubtedly, visibly juiced, literally out of his fucking mind. We've never heard him be crazier.
Did you see the Instagram video he posted, which almost makes me think that he's still on that shit?
No, for a minute I thought you were talking about the one where after he whooped Bisping's ass, he went to the locker room and kept working out. There's a new video now, a new Vitor.
Yeah, this was literally posted. When was it posted? 1 day ago, and it's so weird.
Audio, play it.
Yeah. I'll preface it really quick. They're in like a dimly lit office. I swear to God, they're in what looks like Dana's office or something. It's obviously a high-class office, but for some reason, Vitor is shirtless, oiled up, wearing fight trunks, and he breathes really hard, and then he lunges at the camera and growls at it. I swear to God, this is the unedited audio.
Holy shit.
I'll play it again. So I think Vitor might still be on some of that juice. I don't know.
My God. No, that was... I recognize that. That has Coke written all over it, man.
My God.
But anyway, I'm not saying he's on Coke. I'm just speculating.
speaking of Instagram videos, did you see Sean Shelby and Robbie Lawler freak the fuck out of Dana White after the weigh-ins, which we will talk about the UFC on Fox 12 weigh-ins. Matt Brown unfortunately missed weight. A lot of craziness with the California Commission. Apparently he won't be fined because they didn't allow him to weigh in again. But earlier today, Sean Shelby and Robbie Lawler tricked Dana White into thinking that Robbie Lawler was backing out of the fight because Brown didn't make weight.
Yeah, man, that was pretty fucked up, dude. It's not a good idea.
I'm
not a good
playing
idea
it.
to prank the boss about business.
I'm playing it now.
Hey, no?
Robbie says he's not gonna fight.
He's serious?
Yeah, look at him.
Yeah, he looks serious. Yeah. What are you guys busting my balls?
Yeah.
And he sees Robbie smiling, which sort of ruins the joke. But yeah, Shelby's like, yeah, he's not gonna fight, and Dana White just starts scratching his chin like, what the fuck? Are you serious?
I don't know what they were thinking, man. That's always I don't care how cool your boss is. You don't take that kind of risk. This Sean Shelby guy, him and Vitor are huffing the same paint. You know what I'm saying? That's my speculation as well.
By God, so you really don't think Belfort's got a chance against Chris?
No. I mean, shit, dude. Not off the juice, truly, if that holds up. But if he walks in there looking like the Ultimate Warrior, it's probably all over for Weidman. But if he comes in there looking just like a natural, flattened out, in shape fighter, trained hard, he's still old, dude. Weidman is gonna take a few clean hits. It would have to be some kind of spectacular. He would have to do a spinning kick knockout, dude. It would have to be that. Otherwise, it ain't gonna knock out Weidman. So he ain't got no chance if he's not on the gimmick, as FRB would say, man. Shout out Front Row Brian, man. Sorry.
Shout out Front Row Brian. Shout out Super Kahlo, another very
Weidman
worthwhile follow. Chris Weidman all the way, and another championship fight, Pettis Melendez. We've talked about it a bunch of times. Honestly, I'm leaning back and forth. Earlier, a few months ago, I was leaning Melendez. Now I'm leaning Pettis. Which way are you leaning?
I gotta say, man. Either way, I win, dude. These gentlemen, we all love them both. They're both badass fighters. I'm not gonna pretend like I'm gonna pick based on which one I like better. Who's gonna win the actual fight? Probably Tony Pettis. Just because he'll probably have more frequent strikes thrown with the power behind him. Melendez, he'll probably at least try to spar and dance a little bit. Pettis is just going to come out and just try to destroy him. I think that'll be enough. But honestly, dude, I'm not going to bet this one. This is going to be one of the greatest fights to watch in this entire year, hands down. This competition will be legit. No reason to work this fight. Either one of them wins, it's all good for business. As far as anybody's concerned, they're both Mexicans. God bless them.
God bless them all. Shit, I guess we've broken down all of that, so let's get to the beatdown of July 2014, where we give you the biggest beatdown of the month. Let's do it. You know, for the first time I can say my beatdown is a fight I was there live for. It was Ronda Rousey against Alexis Davis. The crowd was going nuts when Ronda walked out, and she finished Davis in 16 seconds. Talk about a beatdown. I mean, shit. The fight honestly probably should have been ended like 11 seconds in. David, it was a late stoppage, if anything, and it was a 16-second fight. Ronda Rousey is a fucking machine. And there's a big gap between her and every other woman in the world, in my opinion. Ramses, I'm afraid you probably chose a fight that I was also there live for.
Jake, my beatdown of the month involves the absolute destruction of one of your favorite fighters of all time, BJ Penn. Had no business getting back in the octagon, especially with Frankie Edgar, a man that had already whooped his ass twice. This fight made no sense off the bat. And what happened? Complete and utter. It was a state of oblivion. BJ Penn is probably still in critical condition at this moment in time. My heart goes out to his family. He was humiliated, belligered, destroyed, deconstructed, made to feel less than, bruised, battered, reduced to white belt / bum status.
Damn. You just reduced Penn to bum status, didn't you?
He was rendered completely obsolete in today's world of fighting. It was an embarrassment to himself, his friends, his family, his country, the UFC in general, the sport of MMA, and humanity itself. It was the beatdown of the month. Frankie Edgar, it could have been anybody could have whipped BJ Penn's ass that night. I don't know what the hell he was thinking. He came out there with the stance of an 1850s old school Queen's Rules boxer. And he got dusted up. And I honestly hope we never see him again or hear anything about him ever again.
You son of a bitch. BJ Penn, one of the greatest lightweights of all time. Shout out. You are still the best, even though my boy Ramses just buried you. I guess that only leaves us with the UFC on Fox 12 breakdown this Saturday, coming from the SAP Center in San Jose, California. Are you going to be watching?
Yeah, I'll be there with all my tools. I'll be there on the first day. How about I come down there and start work tomorrow?
You're fucking beautiful, Ramses. The prelims, let's start with those before we get to the main card. UFC Fight Pass, what was going to be the second women's strawweight fight, it's now going to be a catchweight because Juliana Lima was unable to make weight. We have Juliana Lima against Joanna. I'm not even going to try and say her last name. It's literally spelled J-E-D, which I can follow the J-E-D part, and then it's literally R-Z-E-J-C-Z-Y-K. No thanks. So Juliana Lima versus Joanna.
The world. And it is Jędrzejczyk, actually. And I can't go into it any more than that.
My fucking God. Moving on, welterweight, Andre Stahl taking on Ramsey's boy, Gilbert Burns. A featherweight fight between Steven Siler and Noad Lahat, which we don't get into politics here, but it is interesting. I guess literally the morning after his fight, Lahat is going to be flying back to Israel to fight the good fight. I don't know. Good for him for being patriotic or whatever. Akbar Arreola taking on Thiago Dos Santos at lightweight. Then we go to Fox. We're going to have 8 fights on Fox. The first 4 being prelims. First, we got Michael De La Torre taking on Brian Ortega. We got Hernane Perpetuao taking on Tim Means. Kyle Kingsbury taking on Durkin. Patrick Cummins at light heavyweight. And a fight between a big friend of the show, Darren Cruikshank, taking on Jorge Masvidal. George Masvidal, however the fuck you want to pronounce it. What do you think about these 8 fights? I'm really looking forward to Darren's fight. He's going to be an underdog against Masvidal, but this is a kind of stylistic match that favors Cruikshank as far as, he's not going up against a guy who's just going to grapple fuck him. He's going up against a guy who likes to brawl. So, Cruikshank, I'm rooting for him. Patrick Cummins, a friend of Team Darkside, we're going to be rooting him on versus Kyle Kingsbury. Although you got to love the Joe Rogan Experience shirt that Kingsbury wore out. And if I'm not mistaken, at the weigh-ins, he bent over to show everyone that the back of his pink underwear said legalize gay. You can't make this shit up, people. Steven Siler taking on Nohad, Ramsey's boy Gilbert Burns. What are you making out of these 8 fights?
Look, I took a look at this card earlier today, and I was shaking my head in utter disgust until I saw, of course, the saving grace, the only fight worth mentioning, headlining the prelims, Mr. Darren the Detroit Super Rock Star Cruikshank versus Masvidal. That's the only fight that I give a damn about, to tell you the truth here. I'm not going to lie to you people, to your audience, Jake, from the MMA podcast. I'm not going to lie. Cruikshank, that's the highlight fight. That's why it's headlining. No secret that he's one of Joe Silva's favorite fighters to watch, because when he lets his hands go, which he's been doing, he shows you the kind of striking that people pay bottom dollar to see. Cruikshank is pay-per-view material. Just wait. All he's got to do is keep letting it go. And God bless him. I love him. He's a nice guy, genuine. He's doing all the right things. Other than that, I don't give a damn about this card. Patrick Cummings, I guess, good luck to him. If he wins this next fight, he will actually have enough money to buy a car now. The original fight with Cormier, it got him out of debt. Last win, last fight, give him a nice chunk of change, maybe 15 grand just to sit on. This one's going to actually help pay for a car. And, that's just the word on the street there. That's a little rumor there that I promised earlier. How about that? That's something you won't hear anywhere else. Word on the street.
Word on the goddamn street. Yeah, I think I gave my piece for the prelims, so we'll go on to the main card. And I want to talk about each fight. Josh Thompson and Bobby Green. Michael Johnson was originally expected to face Josh Thompson. However, just a couple weeks ago, Johnson pulled out, replaced by Bobby Green. I think this is the Punk's fight to lose. He's ranked very high up in the lightweight division. Looking at the odds, he's a minus 255 favorite. Bobby Green is young. I think he does have a future, but I don't see him getting past the Punk. What do you think?
This fight disturbs me. Really, I got to keep it real here. Sorry to bring up a downer, but what the hell is Bobby Green even doing in the octagon? I read a headline that his little brother was killed in some sort of horrible drive-by along with
That was a month or two ago.
And now and then he booked this fight maybe 2 days later. I don't know, man. That's a little weird to me, because I know, I have a brother, and if he were murdered, I would probably not fight this soon. That's just me. I don't know. Something about this is a little weird. This is a no bet for me. I can see them just totally working this fight just to give Bobby Green a little American Idol backstory boost, if you know what I'm saying. Reality show. That's the real world. Sorry.
Okay, so to bring us back from the Ramsey's fantasy world into reality, it was over a month between when Bobby Green's brother died in early June and when Bobby Green accepted the fight just 2 weeks ago. I mean, he took the fight on short notice because
you got your facts wrong.
Michael Johnson dropped out of the fight July 11th. It was originally supposed to be Josh Thompson and Michael Johnson, and Johnson gets injured July 11th. Green steps in July 11th, over a month after the funeral, which the UFC paid for. So maybe he's feeling like giving back. I don't know. But, shit, if I was him and I was going through this crazy drama, I would want to fight and get it off of my mind and do a training camp and, get back into the grind. You're not going to take a year off.
First, I think you got your facts wrong a little bit. I remember it being a few days later he announced that he was already accepting a fight.
Johnson didn't get injured until a month after the funeral, so
it's possible that he had something before. I don't know. It was real soon, all right?
He didn't.
Look, either way, it's still too soon to me. This is ridiculous. I think I'm just hoping that at least somebody is just making sure that this man is okay mentally. All right, that's all. That's my only concern. I'm not saying like, oh, this is bullshit. There's something wrong. Bobby Green's a faker. I'm not attacking the man. I'm just saying I hope somebody is factoring this and watching to make sure that he is mentally fit to fight. Because honestly, they have a hard time just making sure these fighters are physically able to get in the cage and fight as it is. What do they do to mentally check on people before they get in the cage? Is that even factored? Is there even a check for it? I don't know. Interesting question. It'll come up later in the MMA world.
Word on the street. Moving down a weight class from lightweight to featherweight. What are your thoughts on Clay Guida and Dennis Bermudez?
Clay Guida is one of my least favorite UFC fighters that ever was and ever will be. And I refuse to discuss his matches as if they were legitimate or of any consequence.
I actually saw him at the House of Blues in Chicago. I was there to see Joey Diaz and Ari Shaffir.
Sorry.
And I saw him, and it was really weird because I wasn't going to like stop and talk, but I was walking by him and I noticed him, and I kind of smiled and nodded like that was all I was planning on doing. I wasn't going to stop because, you know, what the fuck am I going to say? Hey, Clay Guida. Hey, everybody hates you, because that was literally... I saw him. It was like... It may have been less than a month after the fight against Maynard where he ran away the entire card and everyone was talking shit about him. So I walked by, I smiled and nodded, and he shot me this look that was far from a smile. It was like a grimace that said like, hey, please don't stop and talk to me. And it's like, okay. He literally frowned when I just smiled and nodded at him. So did I catch him on a shitty night? Maybe. He's from Chicago. I like that. He seems like a very positive person, so I'm not gonna bash him. But Bermudez is the favorite. I think Dennis wins. I think Dennis is like, this is a very good fight where you have a very reckless fighter against a very calm technical fighter, and usually when you see a matchup like that, the technical calm guy who's not bouncing around like fucking flubber wins the fight.
I told you, man, I refuse to discuss Clay Guida's match as if it were legitimate or of any significance or consequence. I'm sorry, Jake. I just, at this point, he's not a real MMA fighter to me. And the story you just told me, that backs up and confirms everything and asserts my beliefs 100%. I believe you.
Your beliefs?
This guy, I hope he accidentally gets on the wrong train tomorrow and goes straight to hell.
Oh my God.
Straight there.
Jesus Christ. The co-main event, Anthony Johnson and Little Nog. We haven't seen Little Nog in a hot second. It was actually his win against Rashad Evans back February 2013. He got sidelined with a bunch of injuries. His back apparently was messing him up. He actually was supposed to face Alexander Gustafsson in March, but he pulled out, and it's looking like he will actually be fighting Rumble Johnson at UFC on Fox 12. He is a huge underdog. I mean, I'm talking Johnson's minus 520 and Little Nog's plus 450. I don't think Little Nog has the tools to take Johnson down. And standing up, I think Johnson pieces him apart. I think this is going to be an easy first round finish by Rumble.
I agree, but I think we need to put more weight on the term finish, because I did think that Ronda Rousey would probably kill Gina Carano when they fight, but now I think that's going to be preempted here by this match. Anthony Johnson versus Little Nog. This is setting this man up for a retirement fight. Little Nog, he is he's on death row and he doesn't even know it. I'm saying I believe that Anthony Johnson will murder Little Nog in the octagon. Not maliciously, not premeditated, in combat. I think we are going to see Little Nog die. He has no chance whatsoever. Whoever booked this, maybe Little Nog killed his family, raped his wife. I don't know what Little Nog did to whoever booked this fight, but he did something, and now he's gonna pay. And that's the bottom line. That is the word on the street.
That brings us to the main event, Robbie Lawler, Matt Brown, a fight the MMA world has been looking forward to for a long, long time. Before we get to it, though, let's do the stat of the day.
Stat of the day! Stat of the day! Stat of the day! Stat of the day! Here comes the stat of the day!
Fight we've been looking forward to, people. Matt Brown and Robbie Lawler. It's finally here. Robbie Lawler has finished 20 of his 23 professional fights, while Brown has finished 17 of his 19 professional fights. This is gonna be a war, people.
Stat of the day! Stat of the day! Stat of the day! Stat of the day! Here comes the stat of the day!
Shout out to Jamie Josta, Patrick Seaton O'Connor, and the Dan Patrick Show for that shit. Let's get to it. Matt Brown and Robbie Lawler. Man, two hard-ass motherfuckers. Robbie Lawler, obviously on a huge tear. In his last 5 fights, the only fight he lost was to Johnny Hendricks, and he lost it in the final round. I mean, if Johnny hadn't gotten that 5th round takedown and Robbie would have won the round, Robbie would be your current welterweight champion. Beat Rory, knocked out Ellenberger in his last fight, and if he beats Brown, he's going to get another title shot against Johnny Hendricks. But Matt Brown riding a 7-fight win streak. That's very hard to attain in the UFC. A lot of upsets too. An upset against Jordan Meehan, an upset against Eric Silva in his last fight this past May, which I do not know how the fuck he was an underdog against Eric Silva, people. What the fuck? But it's finally going down. Matt Brown versus Robbie Lawler. Let's break it down. What are your thoughts, Ramses?
I had some thoughts before today's weigh-in. Obviously, the news is Matt Brown came in over the weight, did not make weight. For some reason, he's not getting fined or something. We all know what that is. A little cooking, a little bending of the rules, of course. They're making excuses. Don't buy it. This is 100% bullshit. But the fact that he came in overweight says a lot about Matt Brown now, man. I'm hearing word on the street is that Matt Brown is probably injured, and that's why he didn't make the damn weight. Didn't even attempt to. Injured people. Something's wrong with him. Something's up. Why did he come in overweight? He's never even had a problem with this before, to the best of my knowledge. Wolf, this is going to impact the odds.
Wolf.
He's in underdog status right now in my mind. But he might pull it off. For some reason, he's still going through with the fight, so you never know. But fair warning, people. This is all the warning signs point to the fact that he's fucked up somehow.
I mean, he's had lingering back issues. I don't know if I buy into your injury theory, but do you think it'd be a back, something else? I mean, he's dealt with back issues before and made weight fine. Honestly, I think this is, talking about the weigh-ins, the CSAC is so incompetent, whether it was their handling of the Chael Sonnen situation, not letting Brown weigh in a second time, which, what the fuck? Apparently Brown wanted to cut weight and weigh in again, and the CSAC didn't let him. And then they went back and they were like, oh, we fucked up, whoops. And Brown's not going to be fined for missing weight, like anything, which a bunch of people were calling for Brown to get fined, which I disagreed with, because you only fine a guy if he misses weight twice. You got to give him that hour to make the weight, or else go back and retroactively fine every fighter who missed weight the first time and made it on the second attempt. just sort of a head scratcher here. What did you make of this whole Weightgate 2014?
There's no head scratching about it, man. The dude missed weight for one reason or another. I'm guessing, and I'm hearing the word that it is an injury. Let's face it. And he missed weight, but you still got to make it a title contendership fight. You don't want to put a fucking you don't want to put a black mark on your main event the 24 hours before it happens. They clean this up and cover it up real fucking nice, people. All right, Matt Brown misses weight, but he still comes out the winner. The UFC gains, Matt Brown gains commission, eats a little bit of dirt, but nobody gives a shit. I mean, here we are minutes later. Nobody really gives a shit. They got away with this one. We all love it, people. That's the way the real world works. When there's money at stake on the table, you're seeing it. Don't buy the hype. Open your eyes. Wake up, just like Alex Jones says. That's all we're on the street.
Shit, so past the weigh-in part, Robbie Lawler, he had the lines changed quite a bit, and Robbie Lawler is now a huge favorite, minus 355 to Matt Brown's plus 320. Are you definitely going Lawler here?
No. Matt Brown always has, for some reason, when he's all broken apart and battered, he can, for some reason, still pull off brutality, which is how he wins in those situations. So he's got that chance. But Lawler's pretty solid. He's had a nice break. He's had a longer break between fights.
He's been around for a long time.
They're both vets. This fight's going to be good. But in my opinion, the fact that Matt Brown missed weight, I would have had him all the way to win. But the weight thing, this makes it a no bet for me. This is too close to call.
You're calling it a no bet, but I'm looking at all the odds, and a lot of the odds are skewed one way or another. But one bet that's pretty even: will or won't the fight begin the third round? If it does start, that's minus 105. If it doesn't, that's minus 125. So Vegas is saying the likelihood is that the third round will never begin. The fight will end in the first or second. Shit. Do you think the fight gets started or stopped in the first couple rounds?
All right, let me actually try to mentally just project and predict how this fight's going to go in my mind.
You know, part of me wants to bet that it goes
I think it
goes the full 5, because I feel like every single time we get a fight where it's, oh my god, both of these guys are killers, somebody's gonna get knocked out. Whether, the last time I think we saw that at welterweight was Allenberger versus Rory. Like, I feel like every time it's a fight where we're sure there's going to be a finish, there's no finish.
Yeah, man. I only see two outcomes here. A 5-round fight to a close decision, or because they're both going to just be playing easy pots on each other, sparring, Brown's injured, Lawler's, he's playing a smart fight. I see either a 5-round decision, who knows who's going to win, or Lawler is going to take advantage of whatever this injury is with Matt Brown and get him down and just pound him out real quick. So that's it. 5-round decision or Lawler, if I had to call it. But again, I am not betting on this one. Too close to call.
Too damn close to call. Shit, let me look at in any other lines we might discuss before we shut this shit down. Actually, no. What we're going to talk about for the final topic, because honestly there aren't any more lines that are that compelling. Have you ever had a giant leak in your bathroom? Because literally 3 days ago, I had black water literally pouring out of the ceiling in my bathroom.
Oh, God. I saw, someone tweet, oh, Jesus, I'm sorry that happened, or something like that. And then I saw one picture, Like, I didn't click on it for the blow up, to get into it, but I just saw it was a toilet in a bathroom and it was destroyed and dirty. And that, to me, like, that type of shit is, like, really disgusting to me. Like, I would literally
it's
vomit.
disgusting to me too.
But go ahead with your story. Just please, I just ate a nice steak that I ordered. So, but if you can kind of recap briefly in a tweet type format what happened.
Honestly, if it was jarring, it was disturbing. If I really think I'm going to tell the true story, I think I need to smoke a little bit more medicine first. So why don't you tell us what sort of steak you're eating while I do drugs on the MMA podcast, episode 98.
Yeah, well, it's a horrible segue since he's talking about his bathroom being destroyed. But I had a nice steak here. As I was saying earlier, I don't go out. I don't go out to restaurants or movie theaters or public places. I try to avoid highways. Driving for long periods of time over 5 miles outside of the radius of where I live because I hate humans. I'm like Agent Smith in the Matrix. It's disgusting to me. The worst part is the smell. I can smell them.
What?
The human race is basically a virus, and I have the consciousness and self-awareness enough to know and be repulsed by what I'm seeing around me. I avoid people in general is what I'm trying to say. So I order my food. I have it delivered to me when I do need something different, and I have a nice steak place here that I've been ordering from, and I had one tonight. It was delicious. Just watching couple fights, having a good time, praying here and there, playing Sniper Elite 3 on the PlayStation 4, not having kids and a wife, just enjoying life. Steak's great. About to have a little side salad after the steak.
What sort of salad?
It's just your regular classic, just house salad, but I got Italian dressing.
Okay.
I'm gonna grate a little
vinaigrette.
Bit of cheese on it, man.
Oof. Woof.
Yeah, man.
What sort of steak? A ribeye?
Little Angus cut, nice choice. 16-ounce, good portion, good cut.
What kind of cut though?
Real juicy, man.
Tenderloin, strip, T-bone.
The T-bone, man. I'm a fan. But yeah, but usually I go.
The T-bone steak is a very underrated steak. Personally, I am a ribeye guy, but the T-bone steak, you got got two solid steaks there. You got what? You have a fillet on one. Pardon me, yeah, Jesus Christ! I'm burping my dick off.
Yeah, and if you time, you can angle it so that if you're using focused grilling directional heating, you can get that. You can get each half of the T-bone to a different consistency. It takes a real good grilling. It takes an eagle eye. That's neither here nor there. I love my steak. Usually, though, I go with the New York strip, man.
I'm personally a ribeye guy, but let's get to the waste dumping through my ceiling. So, unfortunately, my parents were in town, which I'm not saying I didn't want to see them. We had an awesome-ass time. We went up to the Continental Divide. We went to the Coors Brewing Factory. My parents are some cool motherfuckers. But like the third or second to last day there, we realized that the light fixture in the bathroom, which is, like one of, it's a light and then sort of a dome under it, it's filling up literally with yellow foamy liquid. And we're like, what the fuck? So I immediately call the apartment complex. It's about 9:15 in the morning. And I'm like, hey, there is some major flooding going on in my bathroom. This is an emergency. Get some people over here ASAP. Takes about 20 minutes. By that time, the fixture has completely flooded. The light has shorted out. I'm still taking showers by fucking candlelight, people. I'm dumping by candlelight. It's romantic as shit. But, yeah, so the light shorts out, and water is just pouring out of the fixture. The guy shows up. He grabs a bucket, puts it under it. You can see, like yellow foam. It's gross. So, he's sort of investigating. It gets worse and worse and worse. Literally, I'm pulling everything. Towels, like toilet, like I'm pulling everything out of the bathroom. Like, this is getting serious. Eventually, there's a giant hole cut in my fucking ceiling, and I don't know how it was getting worse, but it was getting to the point where it almost looked like there was someone standing above my bathroom just pouring a bucket down into my bathroom. At one point there was this black liquid pouring down, which my mom, I think, was gone, but my stepdad and I were watching it, and he's like gagging, like, oh my god, it's shit, it's shit.
Man.
And I walk toward it, and I'm like, it doesn't smell too bad. And I shine a light at it, and it looked like it was only dirt and water, and even more, the ceiling gets cut out. Yeah, so I'm taking shits by candlelight. It's pretty fucking ridiculous. This countered with this added to the fact that about a week ago in my own apartment, it was the worst shit ever. Yellow jackets, a hive of yellow jackets showed up between my curtain and my window, which I didn't find out until literally one morning. It's like literally the first morning after Yao and Ross fly back, and I'm sleeping, and my first conscious thought is at like 6:30 in the morning, and I feel something on my chest. And I'm only sleeping under a single sheet because, it's summer, it's warm. And I sort of squeeze under the sheet, and something literally like pops and crushes. And I'm like, what the fuck? And I rip the sheet, and it's a yellow jacket I had just popped. And there was a hive of yellow jackets because the framing on my window was shitty, and there was a very tiny hole that allowed these bugs in. So what point am I fucking making, people? I'm saying, if you're gonna get a new apartment, a new home, whatever the fuck, really be very diligent about poking around. Look at the look at fucking everything, because if you get stuck with a piece of shit place, your life is just gonna be really shitty, and you're not really gonna have much to say. Like, I have renter's insurance, but what's that gonna do me? Like, nothing. So, yeah, Jesus Christ, a serious note. Anything else you want to chat about before we close this motherfucker out?
Everything you just said disgusts me.
There we go, people. Shit. Follow us at The MMA Podcast. Visit TheMMAPodcast.com. Click the links at the top of TheMMAPodcast.com to follow us on iTunes, our YouTube, but mainly, honestly, just follow us on Twitter, The MMA Podcast. We love the shit out of you. I gave a ton of shout-outs. If I didn't shout you out, but I do chat with you on Twitter, I'm really sorry. I love the shit out of all of you. Ramses, I love the shit out of you in a non-homosexual way. I'm not a fancy boy. Shout out to the guys we went to Vegas with, Yao, Ross, Alan Hunter. Let's work this shit out. Let's reinvigorate the group. God damn it. I ain't got much shit else to say. Ramses, what do you got to say?
Yeah, just follow me on Twitter, The Ant Jimmy Show. I do have the word on the street. Shout out real quick to my girlfriend Katie. Shout out to Jenny Freeman, Shell Old, Lexi and Natalia, my mom, Haley 420, our girly MMA, Brittany, Ariana,
Jen Adams,
Jen, April, and all you other fucking hoes, I love you. Word on that street.
Word on the street, people. We'll be back next week, episode 99. We're inching closer and closer to 100. Once again, we so much appreciate all the positivity. Yeah, the MMA Podcast.com. Click the links. Follow us on iTunes and YouTube. We're looking for big guests for the 99th and 100th episodes, so stay tuned for that. UFC on Fox 12 tomorrow. It is going to be a fun card. Robbie Lawler against Matt Brown. Jesus Christ. We'll see you next week, people. We gone.
Where's Ray?
That was a super corny ending, but whatever. We gone.